to PSC Start Smart. Today we are going to discuss the second part of set examination question conducted in 2021. Here, the first question. Like a huge python winding round and round the red trunk, these are the opening lines of the Casuarina Tree. Points to remember. The Casuarina Tree poem our by Tora Dutt in the year 1881. She was a Bengali translator and a poet from British India who wrote in English and French. Second question. The ancient Indian wisdom is 100% correct. I should say even 200% correct. Writers Nasim Isikil in The Patriot. Points to remember. It is an emphasis on how true the wisdom is for the narrator. However, modern people ignore it and are busy with indulging in fashion and foreign habits and trends. Next question. The conversation between the writer and the eponymous protagonist Indrajit occurs in the play by Badal Sirkar. Points to remember. Badal Sirkar, also known as Badal Sarkar, who was influential Indian dramatist and theatre director, most known for his anti-establishment plays during the Naxalite movement in the 1970s. His notable works, Emma Indrajit in the year 1963 and Pagal Ghoda or the Mad Horse in the year 1967. Next question. Foucault monograph on the modern prison system titled Discipline and Punishment, The Birth of Prison. Discipline and Punishment, The Birth of Prison is a 1975 book by French philosopher Michael Foucault. Next question. It Changed My Life, Writing on the Women's Movement is a work published in the year 1976 by Betty Friedan. Points to remember. It changed my life. That is what Betty Friedan heard over and over from women throughout the United States after the publication of her radical bestseller, The Feminine Mystic, sparked the beginning of contemporary feminism. Next Tuesday. The short title of a founding text of queer theory is Gender Trouble. Points to remember. Gender Trouble, Feminism and the Subversion of Identity is a book by the philosopher Judith Butler in which the author argues that gender is a kind of improvised performance. Next question. The name of the man in the poem who refuses to acknowledge Beowulf's courage. Answer. Unferth. Unferth is a courtier and jealous of Beowulf who feels inferior to Beowulf. Next question. Dash, the last Anglo-Saxon king of England, was killed in the Battle of Hastings. Answer. Harold. The Battle of Hastings was fought on 14th October 1066 between the Norman French army of William the Duke of Normandy and the English army under Anglo-Saxon King Harold Godwinson, beginning the Norman conquest of England. Next question. Whose critical observation is Shakespeare has no heroes. His scenes are occupied by men. Answer. Dr. Johnson. Points to remember. Dr. Johnson as a critic, his preface to Shakespeare, and as a literary critic he was exponent of classicism. Next question. Which character in Shakespeare is not of woman birth? Answer. Magda. Which among the following novel is not written by Margaret Atwood? Answer. The Stone Angel. Points to remember: The Stone Angel is a novel by the Canadian writer Margaret Lawrence in the year 1964. It tells the story of Hagar Shipley, a 90 years old woman struggling to come to grip with a life of indulgence and loss. Next question. With whom does Viola in Twelfth Night falls in love? Malvolio. Malvolio. Next question. Who grabbed about the power of his satire in these two lines? Yes, I am proud. I must be proud to see men not afraid of God, afraid of me, is the quotation of Alexander Pope. It's quoted from The Imitation of Horace's Epilogue to the Satires dialogue in the year 1738, whose contribution is the first serious attempt at a comprehensive English dictionary. Answer: Samuel Johnson. A Dictionary of English Language in the year 1755 by Samuel Johnson. Which poet calls the imagination the real man and claims it is not a state, it is a human existence itself? Answer: Blake. Points to remember: William Blake considers the imagination as a means through which man could know the world. Whose inside quote on vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others? Answer: Jonathan Swift. Who is credited as the founding father of Dalit literature? Answer: Annabahu Seth. Juten, which encapsulate the pain, humiliation, and the poverty of a community, is the autobiography of Om Prakash Valmiki. Points to remember: Om Prakash Valmiki describes his life as an untouchable or Dalit in the newly independent India of the 1950s. Juten refers to a scrap of food left on a plate distinct for the garbage or animals. Next question. In drama, an aside is addressed to the audience by an actor. The words supposedly are not meant to be heard by other actors on stage. Which of the following is in correct sequence? Answer: Byron Shelley Keats. Points to remember: Critics normally divide the romantic poet into two generations. The first is the generation of Wordsworth and Coleridge, while the second includes Byron, Shelley, and Keats. Which is the story poem written by Keats as a young shepherd beloved by a moon goddess, that is Endymion? Which of the following statement about Ode to a Nightingale is true? In the poem, the song of the Ode to the Nightingale is a symbol of art that outlasts mortal life. What is Frankenstein a metaphor for? Humanity. Frankenstein is a title character of the play Mary Shelley's novel. Next point. What did Keats regard as the best example of negative capability? William Shakespeare. Keats coined the term negative capability in a letter he wrote to his brother in the year 1817. Walter Scott is known as the father of historical novels. Points to remember: Sir Walter Scott, Scottish novelist, poet, historian, a biographer who is often considered both the inventor and the greatest practitioner of the historical novels. Next question. Who wrote biographies of Charles Lamb? Edward L. Lucas. Who coined the term Victorian Compromise? Answer: Lawrence Freedman. Who is the father of dramatic monologue? Robert Browning. Which great essayist opposed Beetham's laissez-faire economic doctrines as morally debilitating? Answer: John Ruskin. Virginia Woolf's inspiration for Mr. Ramsay in her novels To the Lighthouse comes from her father, Leslie Stephen. Virginia Woolf's inspiration for Mr. Ramsay in her novel To the Lighthouse comes from her father, Leslie Stephen. So, thank you, friends.